It's October 20th. It's about 9 a.m. and it is time to give the final update in terms of where I am for filing tax returns. So the final deadline for the 2025 tax season was last Tuesday. I think it was October 15th. And I gave an update last week. You can watch that one on here as well. But let's give an update of where things are at right now after the deadline. So the very first thing that probably jumps off the page is that 1040 tax returns are not actually all complete. They are 99.7% complete. Last week it was 99.5%. This week it is 99.7%. There are a total of 386 1040 tax returns, and 385 are finished. Those 385 were all filed by October 15th. I did file one tax return on the 15th, so there were two going into the final day. One of those did get completed, signed, and filed that day, so everything was on time except for one single 1040 tax return. That tax return is still sitting and waiting on information from the client. The bookkeeping needs to be cleaned up before we can do that 1040 because there is a Schedule C business that I need that information for, and we are waiting for that. So it was not our fault that that tax return did not get done. The information simply wasn't provided on time, and we are working on getting that done as quickly as possible for that client. In terms of business returns, last week they were 98% complete. This week they are 100% complete. So there was an S corporation return that did also miss the September 15th deadline. It was filed on October 15th. When I got it finished up, I also finished up the personal 1040 return, but the 1040 was on time. The S corporation return was not. Unfortunately, it was 1 month late. So if we look at in process, there are no returns in process. There were none in process last week at the time that I did the video. Now, like I said, there was a return or two completed last week leading up to the deadline, but they weren't in process when I did it. That one return that I'm still waiting on, the 1040, I'm still waiting on information. It's not in process either because I'm waiting on information. It is in the hands of a bookkeeper who is working towards getting that cleaned up for us so we can do the return. Waiting on information. Again, last week there were two 1040s and a business return waiting on information. One of those 1040s and that business return were completed. And this week we are simply waiting on one 1040. So I will continue to do a update each week in terms of where I'm at, what I am prioritizing for work and things like that. I won't continue to show you the tax return numbers because at this point they are all finished except for that one, and that one will get done soon. Now, there are some amended returns that I need to do. Some folks where some prior year amended returns need to be done. I do also have 3 990EZ tax returns for 3 parent-teacher organizations in the area that I need to file by November 15th. So there definitely is some tax compliance and tax prep work that I am working on. But in terms of, the update for how many returns there are, what percentage complete we're done, since we're past the primary deadline of September 15th for businesses and October 15th for individual 1040s, I won't continue to show those numbers because they're not really going to change from week to week. Now, in terms of the schedule, my week this week, what am I working on? Like I said, there are some 990EZs I need to be working on. There are some amended returns I need to be working on. I have some payroll to run this week for my monthly S Corporation payroll clients. I have some emails in my inbox as well as some some messages in my TaxDome inbox that I need to go through and respond to. I also have a couple of research items that I need to look up and planning for some CPE. So all of that are things that I'm going to be working on over the next couple of weeks. In terms of this week is one of my tax planning and forecasting weeks. So I do have 5 appointments set up this week where we will be looking at the 2025 taxes for clients, forecasting those out, making sure that they are avoiding surprises at tax time, making sure that their estimates, their withholding are good, and looking for opportunities to reduce taxes. So there's 5 of those appointments. One of those is today. There's 1 on Wednesday, and then there's 3 on Friday. The first thing that I have today on the calendar, now again, there's a couple of things I'm going to do between now and then, but at 12 o'clock, I'm going to get a haircut. It is time. It's past time. It wasn't necessarily because I was super busy, but I kind of always schedule that a few weeks after I should have. So anyway, that's what I'm really looking for today because I'm tired of how long my hair is and it needs to be cut. Then this afternoon, 2 appointments. There's a current client phone call just to touch base. I forget exactly off the top of my head what his questions are, and a tax planning forecasting appointment. Tomorrow on Tuesday, the morning is open, and then in the afternoon, I have 3 interviews with other tax firm owners. So these are conversations that I've been having. I had 4 last week. The very first one of those will post tomorrow, Tuesday, October 21. That video was with Claire and Logan of Vivify. And I think you're really going to want to watch that video. They are doing what pretty much most of the loudest voices in our industry right now are saying is impossible. They're running a compliance-based, simple tax prep for what most would consider simple returns. The stuff that a lot of voices are saying, you can't do that because they're all going to TurboTax. They're going to all be using AI this year or within the next couple of years. And they're proving them wrong. They're doing it. And I think you'll want to see that interview. So tomorrow there's 3 more scheduled interviews that I have to record with other firm owners. On Wednesday, I got a call looking at, there's a nonprofit church organization that wants to pay me to do some consulting with just some coaching calls or some advisory consulting calls with their pastor staff. So they're going to set those up. They're going to pay me for, I think, 10 calls, and then people will be able to schedule those calls. And that's just a general consultation to talk to them about kind of how their taxes work and where they're at as clergy because they have specific status for that. Then in the afternoon, there is a client forecasting meeting and meeting to answer a couple of questions for a current client. On Thursday, there are 2 new client appointments and then a meeting with my pastor and a couple of other people. There's a business-based kind of Bible study we're looking at. So that's in the afternoon. And then on Friday, there are 3 tax planning and forecasting appointments lined up. The time around those appointments during the day, that's when I'm going to be focused on the other things that I just mentioned to you. But that's it. That is what I'm doing this week. This is the weekly update. Post in the comments how October 15th went for you. Now that we're past that final deadline, what do you have between now and the end of the year? What are you planning for next tax season? What are you changing for next tax season? Thanks for watching.